Welcome to my channel and to a new podcast. Gold on the path to new record highs. What investors need to know now, but no one dares to tell them. If you are interested in this topic, you should read Dr. Polite's Boom and Bust report. The new edition from April the 17th once again focuses on gold and much more. For example, it covers the following topics: the consequences of the chronically inflationary fiat money regime on stock prices and the price of gold, and why the crushing global debt burden is forcing ever lower interest rates upon the world's financial system, and how patience and perseverance in investing are the result of your personal time preference. You will find all the information about Dr. Polite's Boom and Bust report on www.boombustreport.com. Don't miss it. And now let's talk about gold on the path to new record highs, what investors need to know now, but no one dares to tell them. The gold price is racing from record high to record high. It is currently trading at nearly $3,500 per ounce, a 48% increase over the past year, and a 74% rise over the past 2 years. What are the reasons for this massive surge in value? Anyone asking this question will likely think first of US President Donald J. Trump and his announcement on April the 2nd, 2025 to impose import tariffs. This undoubtedly has unsettled many investors, triggering turbulence in stock, bond, and commodity markets. Investors are now seeing risks in their US dollar assets that they hadn't previously considered. As a result, they no longer wish to hold as many US bonds and US stocks as before, or if they do, only at higher interest rates or at a lower valuation level. This loss of confidence is also reflected in the declining value of the US dollar against many other currencies. That the price of gold has surged by around 11% since April the 2nd is therefore not surprising, given that gold is traditionally seen as a safe haven in turbulent times. But please note that the sharp increase in the price of gold began long before Trump's election on November the 5th, 2024. In fact, around late 2022, early 2023, markets began to expect that the US Federal Reserve would stop raising interest rates, with the next rate-cutting cycle being just around the corner. Back then, gold was trading at about $2,000 per ounce. However, the underlying reasons for the extraordinary gold price increase since early 2023 go much deeper. They are tied to the global fiat money system. Over the past decades, the worldwide fiat money system has led to a massive increase in global debt. For example, the Institute for International Finance estimates that by the end of 2024, global debt had reached $325 trillion, equal to about 328% of global GDP. A staggering debt burden. Against this backdrop, the possibility of a global recession, which becomes more likely the longer it has not occurred, immediately raises concerns among investors about whether borrowers will still be able to service their debt. This may also explain why Trump's import tariffs are putting severe stress on the global financial system. Investors fear that US import tariffs could undermine global trade, force costly economic and political adjustments, destabilize debt-laden economies, trigger a new crisis. Against this backdrop, it seems very plausible that it was heightened investor fear that has pushed the gold price higher. But again, we need to remind ourselves that the price of gold was already rising well before Trump returned to office. The truth of the matter is this: The driver behind the sharp increase in gold prices over the past 2 years is nothing less than an epochal disruption, a disruption that may also explain Trump's second term in office. The American people have taken a stand against globalism and the Great Reset, dealing a heavy blow to the ideological movement that has been trying to dominate world affairs for decades. You may ask, what is globalism? Well, globalism is an idea, a mindset, an intellectual concept suggesting that people shouldn't autonomously shape their lives in a system of free markets, but instead be centrally governed and directed from above. Proponents of globalism believe that control should lie with a central world government, a cooperation between heads of states executed by an enlightened elite backed by bureaucracy and science, or rather pseudoscience. Globalism in this sense would be a kind of neo-socialism or a new form of feudalism. The most well-known expression of the globalist agenda is the Great Reset, promoted by the World Economic Forum with its climate and virus crisis policies, its merging of state and corporate interests via public-private partnerships, its wokeness, unlimited migration, and its digitization of all areas of life, especially via digital IDs and central bank digital currencies. Globalism has a long history. Over many decades, it has created powerful institutions like the United Nations, the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, the European Union, and the European Central Bank. It has also fueled the expansion of the state by spreading anti-market and anti-capitalist narratives in schools, universities, in the public space. For example, a globalist idea is providing the state with unlimited control over money production, imposing and issuing fiat money created from nothing, expanding government debt, and removing fiscal constraints to pave the way towards the almighty state. But the Americans have now risen up against this globalism, first and foremost to its symptoms: illegal mass immigration, inflationary money, rising taxes, growing poverty, censorship, crime, etc. The American rebellion is now challenging the structures, institutions, and special interest groups that globalism under US leadership has established and nurtured over the past decades. In the US there is now a kind of great awakening, a resistance movement that has actually set into motion during the globalist US presidency of Joe Biden. How far America will come under Donald J. Trump's presidency in its fight against globalism remains to be seen. The globalists won't surrender quietly. They will fight tooth and nail to defend their agenda. In any case, we must understand that this is a historic disruption. It is a battle between freedom and control, between light and darkness, between good and evil. Such an interpretation of current events may help explain the enormous rise in gold prices, especially over the past 2 years. Seen in this light, the rise in the price of gold is no coincidence. If globalism is defeated, then the international fiat money regime will likely face severe turbulence. The fiat money debt pyramid collapses. People realize that fiat money is no longer safe, and gold is one of the few assets to retain its value. And if the fight against globalism fails and globalism returns stronger than ever, then the debasement of fiat money not only continues, goods price inflation will be used even more aggressively as a tool of suppression and control. Here again, holding gold still makes sense, because the globalists, like the socialists, communists and fascists, will not be able to destroy gold's purchasing power. This doesn't mean that all investors in the gold market share these views or base their decisions on them. But there is likely a kind of subconscious understanding of what's happening, both in front of and behind the scenes, that drives investors to buy gold. And that is what ultimately, though not always visible through hard data, drives the price of gold higher. So if you think the gold price rally isn't over yet, you are probably right. At the same time, it is also likely that the gold price won't rise in a straight line. Some corrections are to be expected. If you want to learn more about where gold, stocks and interest rates are headed, if you are looking for forward-looking analyses and insights, then you should read Dr. Pollard's Boom and Bust report. All information is at www.boombustreport.com. And now I would like to say thank you very much for your attention.